We've all been sold this cultural narrative, right? That to change our lives, we just need more discipline, more hustle, and this absolute iron grip on our willpower. But what if trying harder is exactly why we're failing? In this explainer, we're going to look at a much more effective and honestly way more forgiving path to personal growth.
So, why do our goals always seem to fail? We've all felt that quiet desperation, haven't we? Chasing a target, relying solely on willpower, and inevitably falling short. We make these grand New Year's resolutions, set wild targets for our careers or our health, and then boom, a few weeks later, we're right back where we started. But here's the thing. It turns out this failure isn't because you're weak or flawed. It's actually because we are fundamentally looking at the entire process of goal setting backwards. The psychiatrist Viktor Frankl captured this beautifully. He said, "Don't aim at success. The more you aim at it and make it a target, the more you are going to miss it." This insight right here, it sparks a total paradigm shift in how we approach our ambitions and personal growth. If you make that distant finish line your absolute obsession, you're pretty much guaranteed to trip over your own feet right at the starting line.
Section 1. The Goal-Setting Trap. Escaping the Perennial Struggle.
You know, this lifelong struggle between who we are right now and who we desperately want to be? Well, it usually stems from our underlying motivation. When we're driven by what's called a deficiency motivation, basically a sense of lack or this deep fear of not being good enough, the journey feels like dragging a massive boulder up a hill. It is just exhausting. But when we shift to a growth motivation, one that's actually fueled by self-compassion and living authentically, that's when we build genuine, lasting resilience.
Section 2. Meet the Ideal You, Shifting the Paradigm.
Conventional goal setting usually demands that you just stare at this distant mountain peak. But reverse goal setting, instead of focusing directly on achieving a specific goal, this technique completely reframes the process. It asks you to define what kind of person could achieve that goal and then work backward. Your focus shifts entirely away from the distant achievement and toward gaining the exact skills and traits necessary to become that ideal person.
Section 3. The Reverse Goal Method. The 5 Steps to Transformation.
Okay, so how do we actually put this into practice? Let's break it down. Step 1, define a smarter goal. Make it specific, measurable, and tied directly to your core values. Step 2, imagine the ideal person who has already achieved this. Like if your goal is running a marathon, what time does that person wake up? What do they actually eat for breakfast? Step 3, evaluate exactly where you are right now and work backwards from that ideal. Step 4, brutally and honestly list out your obstacles. And finally, step 5, create a very specific plan to acquire those traits. You see, you aren't just chasing success anymore, you're literally constructing the person who naturally succeeds.
Section 4. Overcoming your hidden obstacles. Outwitting your trickster brain. Now, as you embark on this journey, you are definitely going to meet your greatest enemy. And guess what? It's your own trickster brain, the one that vastly prefers the couch over any kind of discipline. It uses distraction, procrastination, fear, the whole shebang just to keep you safely inside your comfort zone. To outwit it, we can use the WOOP method. That stands for wish, outcome, obstacle, plan. The real brilliance here is actually in that obstacle step. Did you know pure positive thinking can actually make you lazy? It's true because your brain feels like it already achieved the goal. WOOP makes you visualize the best outcome, sure, but then it immediately forces you to face the very real roadblocks that are absolutely going to get in your way.
And hey, if you still feel overwhelmed, mini habits are going to be your absolute go-to tactical antidote. Look, if you tell your trickster brain you're going to go out and run for an hour, it's going to immediately flood you with a dozen brilliant excuses why you shouldn't. But if your goal is ridiculously small, I'm talking like just putting on your running shoes or writing a single sentence of that report, your brain doesn't even resist. You bypass the fear entirely and actually establish the habit.
Plus, you can supercharge those mini habits with implementation intentions. These are specific if-then rules designed to outsmart your own avoidance before it even strikes. By pre-deciding your actions, you completely remove the need for willpower in the heat of the moment. If you want to skip the workout, you don't sit there and debate it. You just execute the then rule and do your tiny 3-minute mini habit. You're quite literally programming your future behavior. How cool is that?
Section 5. Your daily heroic routine. Transforming setbacks into stepping stones. Let's be real for a second. Life is messy. Things will inevitably go wrong. But when they do, changing a single word in your vocabulary from failure to feedback will completely alter your reality. Asking yourself, what's wrong with me? That's a dead end. It just creates shame and stops you dead in your tracks. But viewing those setbacks as mere feedback, that opens a door. You simply ask, Okay, what can I learn from this? You strip all the heavy emotion out of the mistake and instantly turn it into actionable data for your growth. This whole transformation actually maps perfectly onto the classic hero's journey. Think about it. You start off in the ordinary world, completely frustrated by failing goals. Then you answer the call to adventure by embracing reverse goal setting. You face the trials of your own trickster brain using your new tools like Whoop and Mini Habits, and finally, the return. You haven't just crossed some arbitrary finish line, you have fundamentally evolved into an entirely new, highly capable person. Ultimately, the absolute core takeaway from this explainer is this. Setting targets based on fear or a sense of deficiency is only ever going to lead to burnout and exhaustion. But by shifting your focus away from that distant prize and instead pouring all your energy into adopting the skills, the values, and the ridiculously small daily habits of the person who naturally succeeds, well, you make victory an inevitable byproduct of your character. So stop worrying about the mountain peak for just a second. Look down at your own 2 feet, figure out exactly who you need to be to take that next step, and just start walking. Who is the ideal person you will start becoming today?